The news of the year had that familiar ring: international efforts for peace, promises offered and promises broken, and, as always, hope. PLO leader Yasser Arafat and Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin brought hope to the Middle East with a handshake at the White House in September of 1995. But little more than a month later, hopes were dashed as Rabin lay dead, assassinated by an Israeli protester. The peace process was on life support after Hamas suicide bombers killed Israelis and Israeli jets bombed targets in Lebanon. Peace in the Balkans seemed to be within reach with the Dayton peace talks, but some Americans question the cost. 20,000 American troops promised to NATO forces there. Americans and the world also mourn the death of Secretary of Commerce Ron Brown, who was killed in a plane crash near Dubrovnik during a trade mission in April of 1996. In Asia, the people of Taiwan prepared to vote in their first free elections. China responded to the elections by conducting missile tests dangerously close to the Taiwanese coast. Also in China, the 4th UN Conference on Women saw both consensus by participants and censorship by the Chinese government. Secretary of State Warren Christopher journeyed to Hanoi to reestablish U.S.-Vietnamese relations 20 years after the end of the Vietnam War. In the United States, a major story of the year was dueling parties in Congress. After efforts to balance the budget left the nation without a budget, many government offices were virtually shut down. The winter of 95-96 brought daily life to a standstill as some areas experienced record snowfall. But natural disasters were not limited to the U.S. There was a trail of destruction as an earthquake shattered Kobe, Japan, and a spate of hurricanes ripped through the Caribbean. Man-made violence was front-page news all too often as 166 people were killed in a terrorist bombing of a federal building in Oklahoma City. And a man thought to be the long-sought Unabomber was arrested in Montana. For some people, the big news was the O.J. Simpson saga. His long-running trial triggered debate about race in America and discussion about media hype. 1995 was also the year that 1 million African American men marched in Washington, and one man, Colin Powell, decided not to run for the White House, leaving the field to President Bill Clinton and Senate Majority Leader Bob Dole. The competitive instinct was also alive and well in sports. Cal Ripken Jr. broke Lou Gehrig's record for consecutive games played, and the world of basketball is graced with the return of Magic. Sports fans also celebrated the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta. This year's Academy Award for Best Picture and for Best Makeup went to Braveheart, directed by and starring Mel Gibson. It's a story of battles and of hope, much like the news of the year.